Let's explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily.
It really feels like the cat with the laser pointer. It's like you've led the cat up to the top of the building, and now you're leading it over the edge.
President Trump is rebalancing trade around the world and making things more fair for the American people.
I think that anytime the deep state can like overcapitalize in whatever situation they have, they're going to.
But the rest of it is a very well organized and well funded color revolution operation of the type they run all over the world again and again and again to destabilize entire society.
All right, good morning, Badlandia. Welcome to Badlands Daily. I am joined by Alpha the White. How you doing, brother? What's up with that background, man?
I was just looking for something a little different. I've ran white before. I was like, do I want to go black or I want to go white? I was like, I'm going to go white.
That's signal, everybody. That's signal. Pay attention. Pay attention.
It's not a signal.
Oh, it's totally a signal, man. Alpha the White. Look, it's catching on already. Alpha the White. Gandalf the Gray. Alpha the White. There we go. Yeah. Oh, guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. What a day it's going to be. What a day. All right, guys. I don't know what the heck's going on. Your background has me so thrown off. Okay, let's jump into our first sponsor for today's program, ladies and gentlemen. It is officially the new era for gold and silver. Gold has broken $5,000 an ounce, and silver has surged past $100. In 2025 alone, gold jumped 64%, while silver skyrocketed 150%. And with political and economic uncertainty ahead, 2026 could bring even bigger moves. After such a historic run, a pullback is normal. Metals moved so fast that some consolidation is expected, but top analysts are still calling for even higher prices. We've seen the first bank failures of 2026 with regulators shutting down Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust in Chicago. Could more follow? It's no surprise that Americans are pulling money from banks and turning to the proven protection of gold and silver. Big news, Goldco is celebrating America's 250th anniversary with a limited time bonus. Get up to 10% free gold or silver, plus free storage and a free home safe with a qualifying cash purchase. This offer will not last, so act now. Are we seeing the early signs of another 2028 style crisis? Don't wait for the next shoe to drop. Protect your wealth with precious metals, because in uncertain times, gold and silver shine brightest. Visit badlandsgold.com today for your free 2026 gold and silver kit and bonus buy. Again, that's badlandsgold.com. All right. And then let's hear from our buddy, Tiny Bright.
Legend says, on St. Patrick's Day, a beard without oil is just a chin with ambition. But a beard with soft disclosure beard oil, that's true treasure. Spiced vanilla, naked, smooth as a leprechaun's getaway plan. Soft enough to impress your barber, bold enough to confuse a baby goat. And this boar bristle brush tames your beard like it holds the crown coin. Every bottle is American made, which means when you buy Soft Disclosure, you're supporting 6 American small businesses. That's not luck, that's capitalism with cheekbones. And while you're at it, try our mint green deodorant, because even legends need fresh pits. Soft Disclosure, go for gold. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code TINYBRIGHT for 15% off.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Promo code does not apply to bundle discounts.
Oh, man, what a a crazy commercial. You're losing your cool, man.
Why? What happened?
Because little Burning Bright is taking over the role as the top soft disclosure.
I don't know what. It's definitely tied for first.
What's your favorite so far?
It's either that one or Jatriot's mom.
Oh, Marge the Moistureless.
Yeah, that was a good one, dude. that was our people in the back end creating that stuff pretty good, man. That one was pretty awesome.
All right, let's and guys, I just got to give you guys all some insider baseball here. Alpha was here early today, so apparently I finally got through to him. I don't know
what you're talking about.
Well, you were like 3 or 4 minutes early, so we'll chalk that off of the 49 minutes from last week. So we're down to 45 minutes. You got like 3 more months of coming in 4 minutes early, and we'll be even.
Oh, that was complete deception. I logged in last night before I went to bed.
All right, guys, let's start out here. Politico Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson, tells House Republicans that the housing bill could go to conference amid a fight with the Senate. And these are Republicans fighting Republicans. You got to love it, man. You got to love it. This is the bill. Remember the one that John Thune was like, yeah, well, we got more important stuff than the SAVE Act, like a housing bill. Yeah, okay. Speaker Johnson noted a range of problems with the Senate's bipartisan housing bill in a closed-door conference-wide meeting during the House Republican retreat in Florida. I guess we're all down here in Florida. Oops.
What the heck?
You do it. I'm getting yelled at. Yeah. I had the wrong background up. During the House Republican retreat in Florida. So guys, just so you all know, the House Republicans, while the DHS is shut down and people are dealing with like 20 to 4 or 5 hour lines at TSA at the airports and stuff, they're down at a retreat hanging out in Florida. Who knows what goes on at these retreats, but Johnson suggested that the House and Senate may have to go into conference negotiations to iron out wide policy differences between Republicans in the two chambers. The bill, called the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, has faced blowback from House Republicans over provisions that would temporarily prohibit the Federal Reserve from issuing a digital currency until the end of 2030. A measure that would ban institutional investors from purchasing single-family homes and other provisions that they argue the Senate has watered down compared to the House-passed bill. Johnson also acknowledged in closed-door meetings that there is no unanimity to ban large investors from buying up single-family homes. The Senate continues to back the provisions, continuing to overwhelmingly advance the bill through a series of procedural votes with an 82-11 to 1 vote to proceed to a final vote. And then lastly, Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott said that he felt the bill gave House Republicans, quote unquote, the sweeteners necessary to get the legislation passed, including a 5-year ban on the central bank digital currency. There it is. The central bank digital currency somehow getting tied up into a housing bill. That doesn't make much sense to me, but these
It's
bills,
shady. It's all shady, man. What happened to what we were promised? Single item bills.
Yep. By the way, that was your boy Matt Gaetz that did that.
That did what?
The single line appropriations.
That was
that was Matt Gaetz, dude. That was
that one.
Yeah, that was the gist of the 15 vote speaker vote.
You're right. That was him.
And we've never gotten a single one. The last bill that came through, they did some of the spending in single item appropriations, not single item, but single issue. Right. So each bureaucracy was dealt with individually, and that's how DHS. So, we're in a temporary, partial shutdown now, because only DHS was the one that didn't get funded. Everybody else got their funding. But yeah, this is something we've been promised for such a long time. How the hell does central bank digital currencies get lumped up into a housing bill? And again, President Trump, like he said the other day, I'm not passing anything until the SAVE Act is passed. Like I'm going to veto it and send it back.
That was so I'm thinking here, shooting off the cuff.
Go for
Did
it.
Trump make that statement
So
knowing that they're not going to pass the SAVE Act? So this way he has, a legitimate argue to start vetoing everything they send his way. Or is he just being, no, I want the SAVE Act, so I really am going to veto it. Even if I like it, I'm going to veto it. The man's too smart, bro.
Yeah. I mean, this came up so when Thune was talking about a couple weeks ago when the SAVE Act was kind of starting to get thrust into the front and center, Thune had been talking about, all these bills that the Senate is way more important than our voting and way more important than something that has unanimous consent amongst the American public. And the housing bill came up. And I remember saying back then, I don't even know what's in this housing bill. I honestly couldn't care less about what this illegitimate Congress is doing. But now looking at this, it's like, oh shit, maybe we should have paid attention to this. They're trying to pass a central bank, and they're only delaying the ban on it for 5 years, just after the time that President Trump will maybe not have moved on. Whoever, is his successor is now in place. And not only that, you're also waiting until after the midterms to find out, what's going on before the ban is lifted. And then we get a central bank digital currency. And then we're all ushered into the globalist wet dream. Yay.
Shady, bro. It's what it comes down to. But
and why can't they get their shit together? How do they think this bill is not going to get filibustered and shot down by Democrats if Republicans can't even get their shit together on this?
That would be the funniest thing. And it's sad for the American people, but it would be the funniest thing to be like, oh, look, the filibuster don't work, but they're going to use it on your. I was not going to cuss. I'm be professional. It's daily. They're going to use it on you guys.
Well, you're back to Alpha the Black, so you can cuss.
No, it's daily, man. I got to behave on daily.
Speaking of, we'll move on from that story because it's the only thing that caught my eye in that was the fact that they're on retreat while the government shut down, because that's what they do. They give themselves lucrative bonuses, stipends, and vacations. God only knows. I mean, imagine going on that retreat and seeing the food that they're eating, the hotels that they're staying in, and I don't want to get into anything else beyond
The
that.
fares that they're having.
I didn't want to go
be
there.
paid for, and when they get exposed, it's going to be paid for by our tax money.
Yeah, it's in Florida too. I do real quick. We do have a Badlands boost from C Meadows yesterday. Said, I heard on the Baron Coleman podcast where a manufacturer of bunkers had 2 cabinet members with orders who were calling to find out how soon their bunker could be installed. That is.
Oh, that's I think that's with Atlas. It's like one of the big bunker ones. Dang, that came out a couple years ago. That's that conspiracy. I won't call it a conspiracy theory because it is real. But that's been around for a minute.
You have a lot of these elites are buying these bunkers. Zuckerberg built one. I think Bezos built one. They're all building these bunkers. I live in Florida, so it's not even a thought in my head. We dig 3 feet deep and we hit water, so we're screwed out here. Perks of.
Do you really?
Yeah, dude. You dig 3 or 4 feet deep and you hit water here. I mean, you can do it, but it's completely and totally pointless. Anything that happened, dude, like a tidal wave, we'd be underwater in Florida. Florida would disappear.
No, you guys. What do you guys like a little floating island or something that's just connected to us?
Yeah, we're at 0 feet above sea level, 1 foot above sea level. We get king tides, and the water comes in 400 or 500 feet. Neighborhoods flood out now. Al Gore was right. No, they're just king tides. This has happened forever. Yeah. So bunkers are out for me. But what C Meadows said in that post brings me to this article here from the New York Times. Pam Bondi is said to have moved into military housing because of threats. Do you think it's because of threats, Alpha?
I actually got some insider baseball on this one. So this actually happened about 2-3 months ago.
Oh, really? We're just now finding out about it?
and here's the other thing: she's not the only one. Now, I'll acknowledge her because this one came out public, but she's not the only.
Well, hold
one.
on. Let me finish the article then, because there are some acknowledgments of guys that are in. It says AG Pam Bondi is quietly relocated to one of several military bases in the D.C. area, where other Trump administration officials also live, facing threats from drug cartels and critics of her handling in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Okay. One catalyst was an increase in threats following the capture and prosecution of Nicolas Maduro, according to a senior official with direct knowledge of the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss security matters. That's a mouthful to describe a source. Ms. Bondi is the latest administration official to move into heavily guarded quarters at military facilities. Other officials include Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, and Pete Hegseth. Dan Driscoll, the Army Secretary, and Navy Secretary John Fallon also have moved into military housing, but I think those two actually are supposed to be living in military housing, Driscoll and Fallon. I think, like, wasn't that part of the Hegseth thing, like the Navy or the joint? That was the Joint Chief that got the grand piano or whatever the case might be. You haven't seen you've seen this story.
Not the one with Driscoll and Fallon. I'm not familiar with those.
No. I mean the steak and lobster thing.
Oh yeah, that I'm familiar with, which is not new. that goes back for dude. That goes back that precedes my time.
I got a text from our mutual 0331 attorney friend this morning saying well done on that article, and we were having a little back and forth, and he says he shows me like what Grok says about the Warriors feast. You know, we in the Marine Corps we call it Warriors breakfast, Warriors dinner, whatever, and you get it before you deploy and after you deploy. And he says this has been going on since like the Romans.
if you remember, culturally, they actually showed us this was the way because of remember the feast you have after the Warriors breakfast.
The Warriors breakfast.
Yeah, that was the first. Now that one was post, going through, our first evolution of something dynamic. But I mean, this is something this is history.
Yeah. It's funny because like people are like, oh, well, pay attention to the baby grand piano. And you're like, oh, a $98,000 grand piano, which is not baby grand piano, which is not, I mean, that's not like a crazy price for a grand piano, but it's it's not like he bought it for himself and he's going to take it when he leaves the government housing that he's living in. It's a fixation there. It's going to stay there. This isn't unusual. Is it exorbitant? Sure. It's a little bit extravagant, I should say. But it's not unusual, right? I remind you, Barack Obama built a basketball court at the White House. I'm pretty sure that cost more than $98,000 between excavation and building the basketball courts. But anyways, I didn't care about the basketball courts, and I don't care about the baby grand piano. We'll talk about that on Sit Rep tonight. Let's jump back into this. So it says Jim Mattis, defense secretary for Trump in his first term, also lived in military housing as defense secretary. That makes sense. So did Mike Pompeo. So did Robert Gates, defense secretary under Bush and Obama, lived in Navy housing. So again, the examples that they can find outside of, these Trump officials, there aren't a lot. It doesn't seem like there's a lot. It says this appears to be the first administration to take such widespread advantage of taxpayer-funded military housing to accommodate political appointees who do not have a direct connection to the military. And now that we've got some of the names out there, I'll let you jump on this one first.
Yeah. So, a friend, a source, had told me that there was some legitimate concerns that were coming in, and so he identified Bondi as one of them, along with a few others. And I was just like, this is interesting, because I was actually concerned for this person as well. And they're like, yeah, man, stuff's hot. I just wanted to offer you that, with some of the stuff that you guys are talking about, just to, make sure you're aware of it. I want to say that was like two months ago, maybe even as far back as 3. Definitely 2 months ago, but I think even farther back.
Well, it's okay. Tell me how you really feel.
But here's the interesting part, that they're allowing it to get leaked now. And timing's important, because what else had they resurfaced to the headlines? Trump telling, Hegseth, hey, first, these QRF teams got to be trained up, workable, and deployable.
The National Guard ones?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like, because remember, we talked about that went in, gosh, what was that, like around October, September?
Yeah, that was a while ago.
That was a while back. But they brought it back into the headlines. Okay, April 1st, they got to be trained and deployable, all 50 states. It's just like, interesting.
That's a good catch right there. That's a good catch. People don't understand. Like it's not like obscene or it's not a crazy idea that these types of, HVTs, highly valuable individual HVTs, whatever you want to call them. I don't want to call them targets, but
they did a dry run a few days ago and nobody caught it.
Where?
Oh, wait, maybe you did on one of the dailies, but I haven't seen anybody else talk about it. So last week it came on the news that Democrats aided an activist to go into one of the committees when Kristi Noem was talking. And the activist had a backpack on. It was one of those ones chanting, don't kill anybody. I'm not dying for the people with the critical sideburns. Really? I think
was this the Marine?
No, not him. This was after the Marine.
Oh, I did not see this.
So the activist gets in there with the backpack, and they were just like, and that's what they were just like, yeah, there's going to be an investigation to this because there was actually a Democratic person that helped him get in here. Now, here's the thing. We've seen what's been, whether you like Jake Lang or you don't, you still see that one of these people deployed an explosive device at him and others. And all of a sudden you have this activist going there with a backpack. What if I'm telling you that was a test run? Because Kristi Noem was the person speaking then. What if it's Hegseth next time? What if it's, I'm telling you, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's a dry run. No way you go in there with the backpack. Why would you go in there with the back? I'm telling you, that was a dry run. I'll look for the video for you because I think I do have it saved.
See if you can find that. The point I was making was, it's not an unreasonable idea to house these people on military bases because the level of security, if you've never gone through a military checkpoint to get onto a base. I mean, when I was in, it was strict, but when I went to Pendleton back in, what was it, August or whatever, when I went to Pendleton, it was crazy. It was like way more thorough. I mean, they were checking under cars and like all, like you drive through. I mean, I understand they have like passive, they have dogs that are smelling and, if they pick up an odor, they'll, stop and all that stuff. That was kind of interesting. I actually, I was surprised I got in. My buddy that I was with is a master sergeant active duty and was in uniform. But I didn't have an ID on me. I somehow got in. But I had the pass. I'm going to audible here. Did you find that video yet?
Not just yet, but I do think I have it. So I'll have it here in a minute.
Okay. So this is the interesting thing because bringing up that and, the reallocation, moving these people to the military housing. And then you get this story. We talked about the news the other day saying there's a unconfirmed cable that came out that, is encrypted and could be a trigger for Iranian sleeper cells in America and all this stuff. And you're kind of like, okay, well, they talked about this same exact thing during Operation Midnight Hammer and nothing came about from it. And if attacking their nuclear installations, like was alleged and claimed, didn't spark that, I don't know what will. But then we get this here from ABC News. FBI warns Iran aspired to attack California with drones in retaliation for the war. Now, the interesting thing about this, Alpha, is all of this was before the attack on Iran. It says the FBI warned police departments in California that Iran could retaliate for American attacks by launching drones at the West Coast. Quote, we recently acquired information that as of early February 2026, Iran allegedly aspired to conduct a surprise attack using unmanned aerial vehicles from an unidentified vessel off the coast of the United States homeland, specifically against unspecified targets in California in the event that the U.S. conducted strikes against Iran. The alert stated the information about Iran's aspirations for a surprise drone attack on the West Coast came before the U.S. and Israel launched the strikes against Iran. And a senior law enforcement official said it's believed that the 12-day bombardment has severely degraded Iran's capabilities to carry out such an attack. U.S. intelligence officials have grown concerned about the expanded use of drones by Mexican drug cartels and that could be used to attack American forces near the Mexican border. An uncorroborated report, this is a quote, an uncorroborated report suggests that unidentified Mexican cartel leaders authorized attacks against U.S. law enforcement and U.S. military personnel. So again, putting out the foundation, the groundwork, the ground level for, some of these attacks, whether it's a false flag or not, who knows? This will probably be, I'm trying to think if we've ever had an attack on our homeland since Pearl Harbor during a war. 9/11 we weren't at war when 9/11 happened, and still believe that was an inside job, but
nothing. I can't think of any. I dropped the link for you too in the chat.
Oh, there we go.
I can't think of any. I mean, you could argue that a lot of these mass shootings and stuff are part of it. We've had such long ongoing wars, but nothing that was, at least on its face, I can't think of anything.
Yeah. So, if it happens again, I got another story to follow that up, the drone thing. Here we go. So when was this?
March 3rd, 4th.
Okay. So this is when she testified about the $200 million advertising budget that was probably moving funds to God knows where, but
You may proceed.
Interesting. So we've got
bro.
We've got the backpack. Let's see. I know they search, you before you go in and all that stuff. But are you saying this person was walked in by a congressman?
That's the suspicion right now. They're trying to say, was it legitimately a lapse in security, or were they aided by somebody from the Democrat side? And either one is unacceptable, given the circumstances.
Didn't someone, one of the Democrats, bring an immigrant that was like a convicted sex offender and like all these other violent crimes and brought him to the State of the Union?
I know somebody was talking about they were going to do it. I don't know if they actually did it, because I know ICE actually posted something about it. Like, oh, you are? So in other words,
our job easier. Interesting.
That'll be the first deportation from a State of the Union.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I do think, and not trying to fearmonger or anything, but I just think that at some point we're going to have some sort of an attack on our land, whether it's a false flag, whether it's a legitimate act of war, whether it's even real at all. But I feel like something's got, like, they're just laying all the groundwork for it right now. This is the third story in the last 3 or 4 days we've had about Iran attacking our homeland. So,
well, me and you had specifically talked about California and some of the parts, targets that would be, create massive destruction.
Yeah. Head on a swivel, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into some of the Iran news. The Guardian, as well as others, are reporting now that the U.S. is responsible for the deadly missile strike on the Iranian school.
Oh my God, they've already debunked it. So many. I mean, there were a lot of people that did some great analysis of this to prove it.
I know. But
even though there's a video that literally shows you, still
this. So when you look at this screen here, all of the purple that you're seeing right there are the like cover your ass words, the verbiage that they use in cover your ass type stories, like make sure we don't get sued for saying like the wrong thing. So let's read this. A preliminary U.S. military investigation has reportedly determined that Washington was responsible for the deadly Tomahawk missile on an Iranian elementary school. According to the New York Times, quoting unnamed U.S. officials and others familiar with the initial findings, the investigation has concluded that the strike on the Shajara Tayyab elementary school building was the result of a targeting mistake by U.S. military planners. The findings appear to confirm assertions by Tehran, which has produced video footage of the U.S. missile strike and fragments of U.S.-made missile parts, despite Trump's efforts to suggest Iran had hit the building. According to the report, the inquiry, which has yet to be completed, has found that officers at U.S. CENTCOM created the target coordinates for the strike using obsolete data provided by the Defense Intelligence Agency. Now, again, it's just like loaded down with a bunch of like cover your ass. First and foremost, why are you reporting on a preliminary report based on anonymous sources familiar with the matter in an inquiry that's yet to be completed? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
The same thing they always do. Get the propaganda out there, seed it, and then when the truth comes out, there'll be a redaction on like page 2000 in font 8.
President Trump addressed this. He was asked about this.
Iran. As Commander-in-Chief, you take responsibility for that.
That is what?
As Commander-in-Chief, do you
For what?
for the strike on the school in Iran? A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about
it. I don't know about it. Now, he's already said, if the report says that we did it, I'll accept that. But here you've got, everybody in the whole world. New York Times has it. Guardian has it. And he's like, I don't know about it. I'm the president of the United States. I don't know about it. I don't know. I wonder, I know I don't want to, use this too much, but canary trap, man. Like, was somebody given this and maybe different variations of it to see what leaks to the press?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
100%.
So
they are doing it routinely. Let's listen. One of the reasons I didn't put out at the time that information was given to me surrounding Pam Bondi was I was like, okay, does this information change the geopolitical map of the stuff we're talking about right now? It's like, no, not really. Because there's already people already aware of a concern of, kind of attacks. Like we're already talking about that. So it'll heighten that just a little bit, but there was no real cost benefit to trying to break in that information. And I was just like, and if I did, not going to be hard. They know who our sources are. Like they know, you know what I mean? And it's just like, is this one of those things where they're trying to see if my buddy, got bad info. So, so again, I made the determination like we do sometimes where I'm not going to put it out. And he still confirmed it, a few times after, but I think it's because of this reason, league operations. And, I do have someone that I consider a friend that I think, last year got caught up in one of these and, we'll look and see who gets replaced or repositioned or terminated. Because if you go look, you'll find headlines after like some of these breaking stories. You'll find, FBI removes, DOJ removes, and it's just like, I'm
looking at the the imagery that Guardian put out allegedly of the targeting space, that building up in the top,
right,
is allegedly the school. And so they show these other buildings here, and this is before the strike. These are legitimate IRGC targets, according to what we're told. Again, grain of salt, but these are apparently the legitimate targets. And then when you look at the after the battle damage assessment, the BDA here, all the legit targets are hit, but so is the school. Like, we haven't heard anything about any KIAs, any fatalities in those strikes, but the one on the school killed 175 girls. Like, this is the fog of war, the propaganda that you get from these types of things. And, historically, you go back and look at all of these strikes that we've seen, even going back to like the Ukraine war, right? You look at the Ukraine war and, Russia hit this building. Nobody was killed, though. Ukraine hit this building, but nobody was killed. Everything's fine. We're striking all these buildings. Well, one person was injured. 3 people, were injured. 2 people were killed. You never see 175. This is just, it screams propaganda. And the only thing you've got is that, last thing, the only real evidence that you have is that grainy video that everybody, like you said, is dissecting online. Like here, you've got 2 frames. I don't know how many frames per second that video shot at, but you've got 2 frames of this blurry ass pixelated missile that's on a very strange angle of attack. And that's our evidence.
Here's the video is grainy, and I know people are trying to do assessments on the shape of it, what we see, and some of those people are doing a great job. But the one that I saw, and it came from someone, actually, you're not very fond of this person. I take that back. This person,
if it's public,
this person's takes we're not always too fond of. It's like he'll put out really good stuff. He'll put out some like, all right, dude, you're full blown Zionist.
All right, I'm trying to think if it's Scott,
but
Tony,
but he does have good assessments when it comes to this. And what you can take from that grainy video by the buildings in the background is the angle or the position that person that's taking the video is, so the direction that the missile's coming from. And then he overlays that with the map, puts it to where our ships are, and it's just like it's physically impossible that came from one of ours. That missile's direction is literally coming from inside Iran, and you can make that, like I said, that determination by just looking at the buildings that are in that photo and comparing it with the directions of the Persian Gulf, and where the launch site's from. I think it was the easiest one, to kind of show people.
I'm going to do something I don't usually do, and I'm going to grab this link from the chat from Gatorbait and play it without screening it first. And I probably should be a little bit cautious because it's coming from a channel called Mossad Commentary. So, fair warning, I have no idea what we're about to watch.
Let me start, therefore, by asking you, how do you see the situation in your country over the last 10 days? The relentless bombings, the manner in which Ali Khamenei was assassinated, and the likelihood of even more violence. How do you see the situation from where you are today outside Iran?
Hi, so thank you for having me, and thank you for finding it important to see the point of view of an Iranian. Throughout this interview, I'm going to try and avoid...
Iranian actor. You see that label?
I do.
Is she an actress, like a legit film and screen, or like? All right.
The majority of Iranians' voices here and try and make the world understand, as much as it sounds cruel. The Iranian people have been asking for help for many, many years now. It's been 47 years that this regime has been in power. And at this point, it has reached a place where the Iranians have been massacred in January and in many, many other different dates in history where this regime has gone against them and where they had no voice and no power to overthrow them. So at the moment, you will see a majority of Iranians taking pictures and videos of the bombs coming into the country, but super excited because they know that they're targeted at the IRGC and at the regime. And they're so excited and they have so much hope that finally this regime is going to fall, maybe.
Hold on. You're saying they're excited by bombs, but let's be clear, Elnaz, we've seen a school which was bombed and more than 160 innocent schoolgirls died. And there is enough evidence that the Americans were involved in this. There are fears, therefore, that if this continues, more and more civilian lives will be lost. Aren't you concerned that all of this could only result in further destruction of your country and the possibility of a civil war breaking out? Doesn't that worry you? Or do you simply want the regime first out at all costs?
Of course, it worries everybody in Iran, and everybody is really sad about the fact that our country had to reach this point. But the 160 schoolgirls now are something that the world is seeing. But when the regime poisoned a full girls' school many years back, nobody paid attention. When the regime killed more than 40,000 people in January on the 8th and 9th, and then turned off the internet for the whole world so that nobody can talk about it, nobody paid attention to that. When the regime has been executing, we have the highest rate of executions in Iran. So many people, so many women, so many men, nobody pays attention to that. We Iranians know that there will be a lot of casualties, but we also know that there are casualties every day. There are more people dying when there is no war than when there is war. And this is something that will be very, very hard for people to understand. And people will think that I am for war. I'm not for war. Iranians are not for war. We don't want this. But we have no other way to remove this regime that has been killing its own people.
But
Okay.
She's a legitimate actress.
Is she?
Yeah. She's actually, probably makes sense why this guy was interviewing her. She actually in India, and she's made comments of, once it's safe to go back, she wants to go back with her family in Iran.
Gotcha. I mean, to me, it's laughable that anybody's like, keep bombing me. Khamenei is dead. We're going to talk about the sun coming up and finally, apparently, again, another propaganda piece, showing his face, which you sent me here. What is it? Oh, okay. Well, now, let's go ahead and check this
Wake
out.
Up. Good morning.
we'll save that for Y Chromes.
That's for Y Chromes.
Y Chrome safe, not daily safe. So this is Guardian's reporting that these are the remnants of the missile, and damn, I guess we got to stop labeling property of the United States of America on all of our missiles. But going back to you know what? This is actually, guys, I'm sorry, we're calling audibles here, so I thought this was hilarious. I don't know if you saw, I sent this in the group chat, but check this out.
So right now, Israel's kind of on high alert again as Iran is firing cluster munitions, not only from Iran, but they're also firing it from Lebanon, where Hezbollah is located. So it's a weapon difficult to intercept. So deadly, they're widely banned and may violate the laws of war. Not that Iran cares about that. I'll give you an idea fundamentally of what they are. Comes over like a ballistic missile, right? Try to block it. If you do, in fact, intercept it, it doesn't mean the rocket stopped. It means some of the bomblets that are inside can go to the ground and they can be just as dangerous. And they all don't detonate at the same time. As you see, the doors open on this rocket. It's happened about 11 times so far. And then out come all the bomblets. And they'll spread out wide and far. Random targets. Really, I guess you're saying they're targeting civilians. You're not looking at military sites. You're looking to hurt as many people as possible. 11 have been killed by this weapon. And that shows how, I think, desperate they are.
I don't know why, but I can't get over bomblets. It opens the door and bomblets just pop out. I mean, cluster munitions are not anything new in warfare. Also, if you intercept that, the bomblets go boom in the air. Like, it's not like, oh, well, we got intercepted, better open the doors and drop all of our bomblets all over the people. I mean, this is just the level of derp that we're seeing right now. I don't know, man. I just thought that was hilarious when I watched that this morning.
I was paying attention to the photos. I'm like, am I missing something in the photos?
No, I just love
just one of those things that shake like a like, like I was paying more attention to the imagery than I was his words.
This was unclassified. This is actually, Alpha, this is the clearest footage I think I've seen from these gun cams. Like, check this. Have you seen this footage? Like you can legit see the fire, the color variation or the tone variation in the fire on these. Some pretty badass video here. Look at that. Like, you can actually, it's pretty clear. Finally getting some 1080 shots here. And then yesterday we got the F-14s. You saw that?
I did. Like,
literally Top Gun Maverick with the F-14. Now, granted, Iran does have F-14s. They got some decommissioned aircraft there. And let's see, before we actually get into the stories, we got one more of these little gun cam clips right here. And I guess this is the mine boats that they were blowing up. the 10 mine boats. That was awesome. Trump says at 4:07 p.m. he says, if Iran's putting mines out there, which we have no information that they are, you better stop. And then 13 minutes later, 4:07, 13 minutes later, he's saying they've all been destroyed. We destroyed 10 of them. And here it is. Pretty good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. Now, we were talking about Khamenei being in that position there. This is from Iran International. Iran's new supreme leader injured but safe and sound, president's son said. Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has been injured but is safe and sound, says the president, the son of President Masoud Pezeshkian, on Wednesday, offering one of the few official explanations for his absence from public view since being appointed last week. Youssef Pezeshkian, who's also a government advisor, wrote on Telegram, quote, "I heard news that Khamenei has been injured. I have asked some friends who had connections. They told me that thank God he is safe and sound." Okay, so that's all we got from that one. Then we jump back over to the Guardian for similar story. Khamenei was hurt in strike that killed his father. Iran's Cyprus ambassador confirms. So now we've got two sources. We got Pezeshkian's kid, Youssef, and we've got the Iranian ambassador to Cyprus, says that Khamenei was injured in the 28 February attack that killed 6 of his family members, including his father. Tehran's ambassador to Cyprus has confirmed, quote, "He was also there and he was injured in that bombardment, but I haven't seen that reflected in the foreign news. I have heard that he was injured in his legs and hand and arm. I think he's in the hospital because he's injured." So that's now two, official sources that are talking hearsay, secondhand information, maybe third-hand information. Nobody has said publicly, I'm with him. He hasn't. Allegedly, he's making an address here very shortly, but it says, explaining why the cleric had not appeared in public or made any statements, quote, "I don't think he is comfortable in any condition to give a speech. It was the 10th day of the holy month of Ramadan," said the ambassador, and Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was at his residence with several members of his family, including Mojtaba's wife Zahra and his teenage son Mohammed Bagher, who were also killed in the attack. Now, rewind there. And when I first read that, Alpha, that blew my mind. That Khamenei was first off, that he was in his residence. I thought we were told that he was like in a bunker, like he was taken to like a bunker, like deep in
your residence is a target.
Exactly. And not only do you know your residence is a target, you don't have your whole family around you.
Heck no. You wouldn't be anywhere near them. Maybe your son, a brother, someone that's, in the mix with what you're doing. But outside of that, I'm with you on that one. I'm tracking.
So if that is, if this is true, by the way, I don't know what the actual sentiment and the tone of the negotiations, obviously, between us and Iran. But if we did actually kill not just Khamenei, which I tend to agree with Gordon that he's probably been dead for a while, or at least, completely and totally like laid up in a hospital somewhere, in hospice, whatever. But they're saying now that we killed the son, Mojtaba's wife and teenage son. Dude, like I don't know how, like I don't think if that is actually true. That's just going to continue. When we were in Afghanistan, we used to say, like, you kill one of the Taliban or whatever, 10 more pick up the rifle. Imagine when it's the leader that you're killing. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm 100% solid with it. Wipe out everybody that has the potential to take over.
No. I am solid on it. I am, but I'm saying, like, I don't think there's any, like, I don't think Khamenei's coming to the table to negotiate some sort of, like, there's going to be animosity now to where it's, rage and everything else, and take this all the way to the ground.
You can have all the animosity in the world as much as you want, but when you sit at that table, now I'm going to show you the photos of your uncles, your aunts, and everybody else, and be like, we already showed you, we'll do it. So we can have this negotiation and get what we want 2 weeks from now with somebody else, or you can be the guy, and just understand that's all you are, is the guy, the puppet.
Yeah.
We control things now.
And then the last story we have on the Sun is here from RT. So we're kind of getting all three sides. We're getting the U.S. side, well, Guardian's British technically, but the Western side, the Eastern side, and Iran's take on this. It says he's injured, but he's fine, says the Iranian Foreign Ministry, Esmail Bagay. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has outlined 3 conditions to end the conflict in a post on X. And I actually have that post. Let's jump to that. Masoud Pezeshkian, who apologized last week for the bombings, has said in contact with the president of the governments of Russia and Pakistan, while announcing the Islamic Republic's commitment to peace and tranquility in the region, I emphasized that the only way to end the war that began with the warmongering of the Zionist regime in America, is the acceptance of Iran's indisputable rights, payment of reparations, and a firm international obligation to prevent their aggression from recurring. You know what's missing from that, Alpha? Any mention of nuclear, what the negotiations were before all of this took place. The ability for them to either have nuclear weapons, for them to have nuclear infrastructure and power, or the U.S. providing them with uranium. I think it was Rubio that had said we offered to provide them with, no, it was Witkoff who said we offered to provide them with uranium for 10 years so that they could use it for, nuclear power and technology. Yeah. God, I'll let you jump in there.
No, I was just to say is that you'll have it, and you'll have it for all the energy sources you want, but you ain't going to have it for weapons.
Yeah. And I thought that's where it was going. I was speaking with another mutual Marine buddy of ours yesterday, and they had the same idea that I had, that the Israelis jumped the gun on this, the initial attack, that they jumped the gun on this. And I said, did you watch my show Saturday morning when I said the same thing? And I've doubled down on it since. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But again, this whole thing behind Khamenei not coming out and addressing anybody, not speaking, there's like no trace of this whatsoever. Now we're getting the story that they were in the Ayatollah's house with his family. This whole thing just doesn't make much sense to me, but maybe I'm just retarded.
I mean, Trump said what he would do to cartels.
Right? Showed him the picture. This is your home. Like,
what he said, I want to say it was this week. Just give me the word. We'll send a missile into their living room.
Well, remember what he says he did with the Taliban?
I do.
That was negotiating with the Taliban.
That's the most based. that goes down as a legendary move.
Hell yeah.
Imagine you're the Taliban, you come in, you think you're all bad, you're going to take out the Americans, and Trump just has his people slide you a photo, and you immediately recognize that as that place where you think your entire family's safe. Oh.
Now I want to play this, or not play. I want to show you guys just real quick this story, because it's totally going to be misconstrued by some outlets, but it's a nothing burger. The story's a nothing burger in terms of our safety. But from News 40, U.S. Army Fort Campbell reports stolen drones, $5,000 reward. Now you get a headline like that with the FBI saying we're susceptible to a drone attack. You put this image out of the guys wearing masks and everything else, and people are like, oh shit, these are like those suicide drones, whatever. Nah, they're little fucking, what do you call them? They're actually Skydio X10D drones, but they're like, what was the DJI?
Oh yeah.
Like everybody was flying. They're those kinds of drones. But here's the part that's crazy, Alpha, and you and I, both being Marines and serving during OIF, OEF. Listen to how absurd this is. Fort Campbell's reporting the theft of 4 drone systems, offering $5,000 for information leading to the arrest. The theft involved the 4 Skydio XD10 drone systems. The drones were last seen on November 21st, 2025 at the 326th Division Engineer Battalion. Between November 21st and November 24th, Fort Campbell states unknown individuals unlawfully accessed the building and took the drones. Bro, we used to have to do an EDL every time we moved somewhere. Like if we were in the field, if we went from point A to point B, the first thing you do, everybody sound off EDL, read out your serial numbers on your ACOG, on your PEC 15, on your NVGs, on your rifle, like every piece of serialized gear you had, you were reading. How did they go like, what is it, November, December, January, February, almost 4 months, and they didn't realize that they were missing 4 drones?
Well, I don't think it's saying that it took 4. That's when the incident happened. I don't think that's when it was reported, because it says between, I think it was November 21st and like 23rd or something. So it sounds like what it's describing is a weekend. And so I think it is when they came in, you know, on that Monday morning or Tuesday morning and did an inventory. Then it was like, oh, okay, these things are not here no more. And then the investigation starts. And what I'm thinking probably happens, then this news organization with all this stuff surrounding drones comes into play. They probably do like a FOIA request. We want all the information that you guys have on drones, you know, from your base disclosed. And this is one of those things, hey, we can give them this. Like, this was a property crime that took place.
I don't know, man. Serialized gear going missing in the military is a big deal, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And this also doesn't have like $100,000 reward to it.
Oh,
so what it probably is that 1% shit bags that's in the military. That's like, hey, bro, we can make some good money off these things. So let's, during lib, let's get in here. Because you know what, and I imagine the Army bases are the same. So there's some speculation here. Have you ever gone on a Marine base and you see a building and the building's labeled, you know, drone armory? Like, hell no. It's a brick building with like, you know, 3405-B. You know what I mean? Like, you have, as an outsider, you have no idea what these buildings are. No idea. You can't tell a locker room from the armory. Like, you have no idea. So if somebody goes in and they're specifically targeting something like that, it's very easy to tell when they're targeting these things through the surveillance. Then you know, okay, it could be one of the civilian contract companies that's coming through here. You know, because granted, you know, when my brother was doing he used to do the vending machines at the bases at Camp Pendleton and stuff like that. You know, so he has to get access through these guys that are there, but he's always, you know, accompanied by someone. But he's still he gets some inside information like, oh, that's within that building. That's within that building. You know, it could be a contractor, you know.
That's just strange to me, man. That's just strange. All right, just real quick. This will be the last story, I think, on the Iran stuff. Just the news. Iran-linked hacker group claims responsibility for cyber attack on U.S. medical tech company Stryker. The company produces a range of medical equipment and technology and is headquartered in Michigan. Quote, Stryker is experiencing a global network disruption to our Microsoft environment as a result of a cyber attack. We have no indication of ransomware or malware and believe the incident is contained. It appears to be the first significant instance of Iran hacking a U.S. company since the war between the countries started. An anonymous Stryker employee told told the news outlet that employees' work-issued phones stopped working, bringing work and communication with colleagues to a halt. The cyber attack appears to have deleted information from devices. Interesting. Handala team claimed responsibility for the Stryker cyber attack in statements on its Telegram and X accounts. Anytime I see a cyber attack, first and foremost, from what I've been told, and of course, you know, I'm not a cyber expert in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. However, a lot of the stuff in elections that we've been dealing with for the last 5 years, I've met a lot of cyber experts, and usually the general consensus that I get from people is that Iran is actually incredibly advanced in terms of technology, malign hacking, and things like that. And so that's interesting that your first one here. Now the erasing data from phones is also interesting. Going after a medical group named Stryker, which is kind of also very military industrial complex-ish. Stryker. What's your take on this?
My take on this is you're creating news events that will set precedents for excuses that are going to be made later. When you bring in
a dry run
Peter Strzok, and you're like, why has this information been deleted from your phone? I didn't delete that.
We're hacked by the Iranians.
My phone must have been attacked.
We were attacked. It was the Handala team, by the way, that claimed responsibility for the striker attack in statements on Telegram and X. It's laying the foundation, the precedent, right? Whether it's, something like you're saying with somebody's phone being hacked that's brought in for questioning, whether it's the 2026 midterms when something goes down there and, well, it wasn't us, it was them damn Iranians again hacking our stuff there. I mean, if you so we're watching the war play out over there. Allegedly we're watching bombs dropping and everything else like that. If you like, we've got to be at a point now with technology that warfare is going to move from the kinetic traditional battle space of bombs and guns into the cyber warfare. And again, going back to what I've said is a lot of people that I know in that field have said that Iran is actually very advanced in that regard. And so, like maybe when Iran started the war and they said, we're just dumping our old munitions, we haven't even gotten to the new stuff yet. Maybe we're all just doing that at this point. Just dump all our munitions till we get into the cyber threats and the cyber attacks and everything else. Because to be honest with you, that's what concerns me, the cyber attack stuff. Like, you take down the internet and watch how quickly a society will crumble. Watch 72 hours. What do you think? 96 hours before society crumbles without the internet?
It would be very bad for society, but man, we'd come out on the other end so much better. Think about circa 80, man. Here's why this is not, it's bad, but it's not bad. It's, there's a general out there, you guys know that I respect. And what would you say his mission one is? Local. How do you force local, remove the ability to always be international or national? And that's what the internet is. If that happened, man, you'd have to get to know your neighbors, your city, your block, your city. Americans are resilient. There's nothing that can happen to this country that we can't survive. And I'll be honest, man, granted, guys like us be out of business, but the bigger thing is that'd be a great thing, bro. Take out the internet.
But let's for a second. The problems we see with society today, are they created? Were they a creation of the internet, or have they always existed? It's just the internet now makes it front and center. The access to a broad range of information outside of our usual local networks that we've dealt with for, the majority of our lives and the majority of, modern history, right? The internet, it's only 30 years old, 40 years old,
I'm sure it's always existed, but it was a very small group of people that probably had these certain, desires for these things because it was, limited in scope. If you don't know, you don't know, right? And now, because it's so widely known and it just happens in daily conversations, a meme, a video, a text, a post, an email, people all of a sudden be like, oh, that's a desire that never probably would have been there, had the internet, not existed. Listen, I love technology. I watched the Jetsons growing up as a cartoon. I want to be in flying cars. Like, I'm for it. But man, it's culturally destroyed our country.
Yeah.
And when you look at it from that perspective, what country had 100-year plan that would probably love something like the internet for Americans to destroy our culture?
Are you talking about China?
China.
Did you see? I had this story. It's a long story, so I haven't gotten to read it all. But did you see shit's ticking off between India and Afghanistan?
No, I think I might have heard someone talk about it on space a little bit, but
let me pull it up real quick. I was gonna read it first. I started reading it and I was like, okay, this is way too long for me to digest before the show. But from RT, a new war is threatening the Eurasia economy, and it's not Iran. The outbreak of open hostility between Pakistan and Afghanistan marks the worst serious confrontation between the two neighbors since the Taliban returned to power in 2021. After weeks of escalating cross-border clashes, Islamabad declared it was in a state of open war with the Taliban government following airstrikes on targets in Afghan cities and border provinces. This shattered the ceasefire that was brokered in October of 2025. It says Pakistan accuses Kabul of harboring fighters from Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, TTP, allegations which the Taliban deny. The geopolitical implications of this confrontation stretch far beyond the frontier. For China, the war represents not merely a security crisis, but a direct challenge to its broader strategic vision for regional integration. Beijing has sought to position Pakistan and Afghanistan as key nodes in a trans-regional economic architecture linking Central Asia, South Asia, and Western China. In Chinese strategic thinking, Afghanistan was meant to become a peripheral extension of this network. Beijing has explored linking Afghan transport routes, mineral resources, and transit corridors to the wider CPEC infrastructure system. So, again, I'm going to read more of that. I thought that was very interesting. First and foremost, what comes to mind is thank God we got out of there. You can't conquer Afghanistan. Historically, many nations have tried. The U.S., Russia, Britain, everybody's tried to conquer Afghanistan. It can't be conquered. You're not going to take it over.
Everything can be conquered.
No, we can't. We tried for 20 years. Although I also believe fully that was not an actual maximum effort to conquer that. It was, but anyways.
Tell General Raisin Kane, how do we get Afghanistan? He'll tell you how we get it.
How do we get Afghanistan?
6 months. 6 months.
I don't know, man. All right,
bro. Don't
I don't know where you're going.
I'm just saying, they said it'd take years to destroy ISIS. He did it under 6 months.
All right, let's get back into U.S. politics, and it's a slow news day, guys. We're having a good time up here. We're gonna hit a sponsor though, real quick before we do that, and getting my ducks in a row here, and there we go. All right, guys, they can freeze your accounts. They can shut off your cards. They can lock you out of your own money overnight. Central bank digital currency. Banks don't protect you. They control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through the Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. It's not an IOU. It's real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. Now, that's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet. Peer-to-peer and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. The wallet is yours forever. All right. Oh, True Deplorable says you were quoting a Trump story on Raisin Cane. I got you. I wasn't tracking on that. All right, let's jump into U.S. news from Fox News. Top U.S. court hands Trump a win on deportations as the SCOTUS challenge looms. This is going back to the due process immigration claim. So I'm glad to see President Trump take the W over the absurd district court. Once again, in like the most repetitive thing we've seen is district court lose, appellate SCOTUS win. It's like incredible. Trump administration lawyers appealed the ruling to the First Circuit Court of Appeals last week in D.C., arguing that the order from U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy created a quote-unquote unworkable scheme that threatened to derail sensitive negotiations with outside countries and risked derailing up to thousands of planned deportations. So the Brian Murphy had initially said you can't send these illegals to third-party countries. You have to send them, well, you have to give them due process first and foremost. And if you're going to send them to a third-party country, you have to let them make the case that they will be politically persecuted there. So Murphy argued that Murphy's ruling cut against two previous Supreme Court emergency stays last year after the high court allowed the administration to continue its deportation policy. Murphy, a Biden appointee, sided with migrants last month, determining that DHS third country removal process is unlawful and violates due process protections under the Constitution. He ruled that Trump must first try to deport the migrants to their home country or to a country of removal previously designated by an immigration judge. Only after that process, he said, could migrants be moved to a third country, so long as, quote unquote, meaningful notice is provided, as well as the opportunity for migrants to raise any fear of persecution in the third country. What kind of people are we dealing with that a migrant in this country, an illegal migrant, would have a case against being deported for political persecution in a third party country? You're not talking about your, mom and pop that crossed the border for a better life, to work and everything else. We're talking about some shady shit that's going on. If people are like, oh, whoa, I'm Venezuelan, you can't send me to X country because I'm Venezuelan and they know who I am and I'm going to be persecuted. Like, this is some weird stuff here.
It's like, you mean, is Trump actually extraditing criminals to countries where it's just like, hey, Papi Trumpo, send that clown over here because he was part of a color revolution over here. We got some shit to deal with.
That's more in line with what I'm thinking compared to what we're seeing. But yeah, I'm glad to see the due process claim getting shot down, because I thought that was absolutely absurd. Like, once you're identified as an illegal migrant, you're out. You're out. Period.
I hate that they use the word migrant.
Immigrant, alien. What do you want to use? Alien,
criminal. Illegal criminal.
Illegal criminal. I mean, aren't all criminals illegal?
No, I mean, you have U.S. criminals.
I like illegal alien. I like it. It's got like a little.
Because we're getting to a phase where we're gonna like aliens, bro. You don't jump. Let's not ruin their names. You know what I mean?
We got another. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to add? Got more?
No. You're solid.
All right. So this is another. I'm interested to see what this ruling is going to be, because this is something that I think is absolutely effing absurd, that anybody thinks they have the authority over the president and specifically the Secretary of Homeland Security to tell them that they can't cancel TPS. But Trump administration asked SCOTUS to let it end deportation protections for 350,000 Haitians. The bid for emergency relief from the Justice Department is the latest effort to end TPS, temporary protected status, for a host of countries. The Supreme Court has so far allowed the Trump administration to roll back protections for Venezuelan migrants, and a request involving Syrian immigrants is awaiting action from the High Court. Haitians were first granted TPS in 2010 because of, quote, extraordinary and temporary conditions following the catastrophic earthquake that left the Clinton Foundation very wealthy. Oh, excuse me, that wasn't in there. In his first administration, President Trump moved to rescind the protections for Haiti, but was caught up in a court fight, and it did not take effect before he left office. While the secretary acknowledged that certain conditions in Haiti remained, quote unquote, concerning, Noem said parts of the country were, quote unquote, suitable to return to. U.S. District Judge Anna Reyes wrote that, quote, Kristi Noem has a First Amendment right to call immigrants killers, leeches, entitlement junkies, and any other inept name that she wants. However, Secretary Noem is constrained by both our Constitution and the Administrative Procedures Act to apply faithfully the facts to the law in implementing the TPS program. A divided 3-judge panel in the Court of Appeals in D.C. declined to freeze Reyes' decision. If TPS, and this is, again, TPS is relatively new. I think it was started in the 90s, 1990. Excuse me. It was started in 1990. How did people not have the foresight to look at the idea of granting broad temporary amnesty to illegals, bringing them over here, allowing them to stay here 4, 5, 10 years while you continue to renew this TPS, despite the conditions getting better, right? 2010, Haiti had a catastrophic earthquake, temporary and extraordinary. The earthquake's over. They got to get their shit together. They don't get to stay here the whole entire time. Well, because we've been running color revolutions in Haiti. But besides that point, the problem with TPS is now, like, I understand the argument that they can't just pack up and go home, but that's what has to happen. And you got to rip that Band-Aid off. And I'm just going off on a tangent here.
I know. I mean, there's the logic behind it makes sense. Some of the people that are going to be moved temporarily are construction workers, electric workers, engineers. Like, these are the people you need in order to bring that country back into being livable. So listen, they should never have been brought over here to begin with.
Agreed.
You know, if we have the ability, we've shown through our military, go over there and set up camps. Look at how many different countries we were in where they came in, set up showers, set up eating facilities, you know, set up, legitimate plumbing, with, not your typical porta potties, but actual buildings with AC and stuff like that. That you could have done that there. And at the same time, these people get to go and help rebuild their country from whatever catastrophic event it was. These were all just excuses to change the demographics of our country.
Exactly. And you have all these bleeding heart derps coming out now, saying, well, we can't send them back now. You had to have that foresight in the beginning to realize that the government that put together the idea of TPS, the bill for temporary protected status, in it, like, that was their agenda. How can you not see that? Nobody thought that we'd be bringing these people over here and letting them stay for 5 years. And nobody was like, hey, what are we going to do when it's time for them to go home? What are we going to do? Like, I totally, I sometimes I get pushback when I say things like this, but I can sympathize for the people that are going to have to go back. You still have to go back, but I get it. Our government screwed you over royally. They brought you over here. They kept renewing this status. You're like, okay, they've renewed it like 5 times now. I think I'm safe. I think they're going to keep this going. And it's like, no, you can't do that. First, they hadn't assimilated.
Do not feel bad. I
feel bad for people. I do.
I do not.
I do.
No, I will pray for people and all that.
There.
But if there's an earthquake here in Southern California along the San Andreas Fault, my house collapses, and I don't have earthquake insurance, does the government say, oh my God, you've been displaced with your family? We're going to provide a place for you. This is, hey, you head up to the Salvation Army. Good luck. See what could happen there. We'll close down the school gym, for the weekend for everybody in the community. And then after that, it's just like, all right, get the hell out of here. Our government has no problem doing it to Americans. So guess what? Every other country, figure your shit out.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I can still, like, coming in, and our government has allowed this to perpetuate. And because of that, I sympathize. They still got to go home. I'm not saying, like, keep them here or anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a softie, I guess. Details says, what are we going to do with the babies born here? Yeah, I agree. That needs to go. Birthright citizenship has to go away.
I thought he already removed it.
No, it's going to SCOTUS. Congress, the Senate was supposed to have it.
They hate this country.
Oh, they do. They absolutely hate this country. They absolutely hate this country. They have told us over and over again, they pass these things like TPS, like birthright citizenship, and they tell all these things. And, for years, decades, if you ever questioned it or said anything about it, you're a racist. And fortunately, President Trump, through his America First agenda and his America First policy, which includes Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, white Americans, Chinese, like all sorts of Americans, right? People that have been established here, assimilated to our culture and everything else, includes all of that in MAGA. President Trump has been called a racist so many times now that we just don't give a fuck anymore. Like, we don't care. We're at the point now where it's like, look, it sucks that you guys are here. It sucks that you guys were brought here under this notion that you're going to be able to stay here forever. You can't. You got to go home. It's over. It's over. We got to get this country back on the right track. We've got a war with Iran where, we're told there's Iranian sleeper cells throughout. How the fuck did Iranian sleeper cells get in this country? And I know the answer to that question. It's rhetorical, but yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. The greatest thing maybe in terms of the migration thing is President Trump not doing anything racist, but just continuously being called a racist to the point where the word has no value anymore. It has no meaning anymore. Like people, like 10 years ago, people were afraid to be called a racist. You remember that? Like 2015, 2016, you're like, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I have black friends. And it's like, we just don't care anymore now. And they're doing the same thing with anti-Semitism, by the way. I could give a fuck if you call me an anti-Semite because I'm criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu. Are you kidding me? Let's go.
I like you, BB. Send me $7,000.
Where's my shekels? But again, guys, I just want to make the point. I still can have compassion for people, and I still am compassionate. But GTFO. Is that fair?
This man, from a godly perspective, I hope all of humanity gets their shit together and prospers. From Alpha being an American in this country, no tears. I got too much tears for what's going on to name a group here in the States. You're gonna be mad. Be mad. Yeah, and I guess here's one of the reasons why I don't have empathy. They're here in this country and they haven't acclimated, so they still don't give a shit. So kick them out.
Yeah.
Kick out the dad, kick out the mom, kick out the kids.
And I did say that they're not.
Oh my God, the kids, yeah, because they're raising them with that mentality, and those kids are going to be the problem for my kids, and I love my kids more. So kick out the whole fucking family, and if that offends you, you're the reason we have a problem in this country.
I did say that they're not assimilating, and that's a major problem, in my opinion. The last thing I'll say on this, and then we'll move on, is Ramon 222 in the chat says the illegals are also responsible for their decision. CannCon, yes, the illegals, the ones that cross the border. What I'm talking about specifically are the TPS ones, and that was our government saying you legally by law can come over here and temporarily stay here. I don't put that on them as much. The ones that cross the border and scurried across the deserts in Arizona and all that. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. I'm just talking specifically about the TPS folks, which again,
here's our solution to that. If Americans just want to be soft and want to issue, a TPS, fine, I'll sign off on it. But it's not in our country. All these other countries that we give a lot of money to,
take them.
They can go and have them temporarily. Part of the billions of dollars that we give you guys, you can have them. Send them to Ecuador now. Send them to Argentina. Send them to Israel. Send them to the EU. Send them everywhere. Don't bring them into America. A lot of people owe us money. We can send them there.
And outside of perhaps a few countries in the EU, good luck with that. You think Americans are racist towards all these people? Wait till you start sending these people to these other countries and they're like, whoa. Why are you dumping a whole new culture on our culture? You'll see racist real fast in those countries. America is soft compared to a lot of these other countries outside of mainly the EU. They're a bunch of weirdos. All right, let's move on. We've got a couple.
Although there's some exceptions.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Especially
like you want to bring over the Persian baddies. You want to bring in some of the Venezuelan baddies. Like we could make some that's a white crumbs conversation. So.
Oh, I got you. Like Iranian actresses.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh man, Alpha's gonna get me in some trouble on Badlands Daily.
Just say.
All right, let's jump into this story here. So do you remember? Well, so DOJ, is this no, this is not the right story. Sorry, there we go. Federal jury finds Sarasota woman guilty of making threats on TikTok. Federal grand jury has found Desiree Doreen, or federal jury, not grand jury, has found Desiree Doreen Sagari of Sarasota, Florida, guilty of interstate communications for a threat to injure, faces a maximum penalty of 5 years. Sagari posted on a video on TikTok calling for MAGA supporters to be shot on sight. You may remember this video. This is, I love to see this.
Okay, guys, so I would like to start a new movement called MAGA, because people like that respond to fear and terror and aggression. not logic and empathy and, I don't know, intelligence. It doesn't work for them. So fear works. So if we all get our guns and use our Second Amendment right and our common sense, at this point, this administration is begging us to rise up and revolt. And you see somebody with a MAGA hat, pew pew. That's what we do. That's the way. It's the only way. Put them back in their basements, make them scared again to be racist, homophobic, and terrible, just awful fucking pieces of shit. Because I would way rather live next to immigrants than MAGA people. MAGA people deserve to be terrified and scared to walk in the streets because they should know that real Americans are going to kill them.
She's going away for that now.
Hey,
F
bye.
around and find out. Pew
This-
pew.
This
Bye-bye.
is great. This is so great because there's more of this happening.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's and here's the thing, and people, and trust me, people have like, oh my God, I have filed reports with the FBI against people on social media in spaces calling for rhetoric that is illegal, criminal, and
snitches get stitches.
If you can give me the stitches, I'll take them. We'll see who gets stitches. That's my answer to that.
Let's go.
That's my answer to that.
Are you calling me out specifically?
No, I'm talking about, well, I mean, if you want to tell me snitch get stitches, but I'm just saying anybody out there, you follow the guard schedule. You know where I'll be. Just call me outside. I'll come outside.
Catch me outside.
Catch me outside. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that have been trying to pass rhetoric in these, these spaces, they've on X, putting out content to get people hurt. And some of them make the allegations that they were even once prior vets, and they know. And so I hold them even more accountable because you know better. And I'll tell you what, people think nothing's happened. These things take a minute. And I'm just going to say, you're going to see more of this, and I'm all about it, baby. I'm all about it.
I always love to see these types of stories because I go back to, 2021 and what happened to you, what happened to Douglas Mackey and folks like that for, obviously yours was nowhere near an incitement of violence, especially compared to someone like that literally telling people, go out and if you see a MAGA hat, kill them because they're racist homophobics. By the way, the words have no meaning. We don't give a shit. Call us what you want. We don't care.
They're just, they're trying to trigger that small minority of people that are extremists with mental issues that hear that and they're like, you know what, they're right, and they'll act on it. And that's the same thing. These Candace Owens and Jake Shields and Nick Fuentes. Listen, we're very small compared to these people that have millions of followers. And look at the weird emails that we get. So imagine if we got some weirdos like that follow us, and then imagine what some of these extremists have. So when they go and start putting content like Trump's going to get us in a nuclear war, MAGA supporters are going to get us in a nuclear war, this is the only thing, you're going to get some of these freaks that are going to act out on that. That's the story people should be arguing with behind Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Well, I think this guy might be getting a little knock. This is Big Bad Booty Daddy.
Look, y'all, I'll do it if y'all can get me out. If y'all can get me out, y'all put some money together to get me out, I'll do it. On my mama. I swear, I'm not even joking. I'll do it. If y'all can get me out. Y'all can get me out and then get me out of America after. I'll do it. For the people. Yeah. Matter of fact, to make it real sweet, on some real shit, if you get my family out of America, I'll suicide bomb the whole fucking... You don't even fucking know.
The only problem there, from a law enforcement perspective, the only problem there is he doesn't list a target now. Is saying that you're going to suicide bomb something? Is that enough to roll somebody up on?
On just what we saw there for an arrest, no. However, you could do a 5150 72-hour evaluation on this guy.
Disappear him?
No, you could. It's been a minute, but threat to the public, threat to yourself, or incapable of taking care of yourself. all those warrant a 5150 72-hour evaluation. So,
all right.
Now what you find during that time, and you go like, there are tools in law enforcement that can be used by good guys to go after guys like this. The problem is you get bad guys that use these tools to go after good guys.
I wonder about the suicide bomber part, because that is a terroristic threat. I don't know, and it's an indiscriminate target, right? When you suicide bomb, you're just killing anybody around you. I mean, it could be a specific target, but I think that would be actionable if they say, I'll suicide bomb the whole thing if you get my family safe.
You could stretch it, and you could DA shop and judge shop, and you'll get somebody that'll sign off on that warrant. Never make it to a jury trial.
No,
never.
Anyways, there's more of these. What was the actress from was it Orange is the New Black, the big lesbian? Apparently you can't say Bull Dyke, so but the big lesbian woman that looks like a man. Do you remember this?
Why can't we say Bull Dyke?
I don't know. I got like yelled at last time for it. Not yelled at, but like, you said that, and I'm like, oh shit, that's gonna get clipped. I don't care. I don't care. So what was her name?
Johnny Depp
literally called for the assassination of like
our boss. Look at when Johnny Depp said, "When's the last time an actor's assassinated a president?" Like what?
I have thought long and hard about blowing up that very light colored place.
Madonna.
Yeah, Madonna said that. Didn't have Ashley Judd? No.
The only one that I was just like, I hate it, but I think he's covered was when Snoop Dogg did the performance, and he has the doll of President Trump out there, the mannequin, I forget what it was, and the toy gun with bang. I get it, that's it's visual art and all that stuff, but I don't. The other ones, Johnny Depp, I would have arrested his ass. Madonna would have arrested their ass. Hell yeah. And it goes back to the conversation I just told you. They know that they got extremist fans that'll be like, if I do it, they'll love me forever. They'll be with me. Like they listen, people. we're small time. We've been exposed to some like level crazy that's out there. Imagine if you have 12 million people following you, bro. And they think, if I do this, CannCon will marry me, right? Like there's some psychos like that. And then they go do some crazy events, and they know that. And that's why I say, that's, to me, that falls into the means and capability of making this happen. You're facilitating it.
Isn't Snoop a Loop like on the Trump train now?
Oh,
I thought he is. Isn't he?
He is.
Him and Trump are boys now, man.
Snoop a Loop. No, to the toot, but a Trumpy toot.
Snoop Dogg, man, the OG of '90s gangster rap.
All right, guys, man, and then he went completely stupid. And now he's back on his meds apparently.
That's the meds. Him and Martha Stewart, they got that weird thing going on. All right, we're gonna hit another sponsor here.
Martha
and then we're actually
Stewart
gonna
has street cred now, bro.
Yeah, no, she's been to prison. Her, Trump, and Snoop are in the same boat there. They've all been. Snoop's been to prison. Yeah, I think he has. All right, guys, we're gonna hit another sponsor. We're gonna move on.
Tattoos on our elbows.
Have you guys tried 1775 coffee yet? Now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped with only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because Freedom is not scooped with a plastic frother. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler, $170 worth of coffee and gear for just $99. This is for the ones who've watched 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble. All right, let's jump in. Speaking of rappers, DOJ Long Island man charged with sex trafficking, enticing, and exploiting a minor. Defendant threatened a 16-year-old girl that he allegedly trafficked. Jimmy Francois, a.k.a. Bentley Bugs, that's his rapper name, Bentley Bugs, was arraigned on a 6-count indictment charging him with the sex trafficking of a minor using force, fraud, and coercion, coercing and enticing a minor, and sexually exploiting a child, and interstate prostitution. Sex trafficking a 6-year-old victim by physically assaulting the victim and intimidating the victim, using threats, and by physically assaulting other women in her presence. Francois also created sexually explicit images of the Jane Doe, some of which were posted online in prostitution advertisements. Francois trafficked her through multiple states and forced her to engage in commercial sex with multiple clients per day, threatening statements, including issued at her threatening statements, including, quote, "You learned and understand that me and you are not equal. You speak when you're spoken to. I'm going to violate you. I'm going to break your bones in your hotel room. You're going to have broken bones in your hotel room. No hospital, no nothing. I will personally break your bones." And he's going to have a lot of bones broken in prison. You're going to have a jolly good time.
He's got
to be convicted first, but after that,
he's gonna be like big bad booty from that other video. They can be giving up that booty is what's gonna happen. Dude, what kind of name is Bentley Bugs? Like, does he not recognize that makes no sense. It's a Bentley. There ain't gonna be no bugs in a Bentley, man. It's a Bentley.
It's like you ain't even got a cool initials, BB. Like, there's already 2 more prominent BBs, Bad Bunny and Burning Bright. And BB Netanyahu. Like, there's only one CC.
Bentley Bugs, man.
I had problem with that. CC.
Bentley Bugs. This is how I would explain it to him. I'd be like, "Hey, bro, Bentley Bugs. You think that name's dope?" He'd be like, "Yeah, dog." I'd be like, "Let me break this down to you. What about this model comes in? She's like, hot chick with crabs." He'd be like, "That's nasty." "Yeah, man. Bentley Bugs. That's what you're saying." Like,
I don't know where you're going with this.
This, like, what names like Ice Cube, right? Like, even Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean?
Tupac.
Yeah, man.
Eazy-E.
Yeah, Notorious Big, right?
B.I.G.
Even white boy Eminem. Like Bad Bunny, Bentley Bugs.
All right, guys. No, I don't want to see Bentley Bugs again. There we go. There it is, guys. There is an exclusive live stream for Badlands GART 11 today, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Ticket holders will have the first exclusive live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern. A link will be sent out to you guys by 1 p.m. Grab your virtual tickets for GART 11 in Nashville, Tennessee at a special early bird price until March 15th, Sunday. After that, the regular price of $40 kicks in. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/events to snag the lowest price for virtual tickets. And like I said, live stream today. You never know what's going to go down in those live streams. They're always pretty interesting. And yeah, that's all I've got for today, man. Slow news day.
Here's something that, unless you covered it yesterday, I didn't see it till early this morning. Trump got Ecuador to cut off Cuba.
Oh, really?
And now, if you go and look it up, because I think mainstream's starting to report on it now too, we'll be having an FBI office in Ecuador. Now, if you remember, we opened up a new FBI office in New Zealand, and this FBI office is to specifically target cartels. But again, all the Cuban peeps had to be removed. And that was the deal. And so Trump had them sign that. So they took that to place today. So like we told you guys, eyes on Cuba.
That is very interesting. Was it you that I was talking with about Trump's speech on Monday? No, because I haven't spoken to you since then. Trump is the press conference he did Monday from Doral was very interesting when he was talking about Iran and somebody asked him about the regime change and if you want somebody that's internal in Iran to assume power. And this is kind of where I got off on the, I think, Motaba Khamenei, the one we talked about earlier, why he might actually remain the Ayatollah with Trump's blessing. And that's because, during that press conference, Trump said, we already have a formula, right? We have the formula from Venezuela. And what did they do in Venezuela? It was Maduro's next in command, Delcy Rodriguez, that assumed that position. And so Trump says, we got the same formula from Venezuela. It's going to work in Iran, and then goes on to Cuba. And same thing with Cuba. There's been a lot of talk. Are you going to replace the Castro family in Cuba, the Castro regime in Cuba? And no, I don't think so. That kind of thing. True deplorable. All shows are why we vote now. Asa Wavin. So, yeah. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with Cuba. I'm excited about Cuba. You know why? Because Cuba is only 90 miles away from us, and it's a very peaceful 90-mile boat ride. And we could go down to Cuba and have some good time. They got some cool places in Cuba, man. I'm going to go down there and scoop me up one of them 56 Bel Airs down there.
I will definitely go down there and have me a mojito.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. And a Cuban cigar.
I was on a cruise ship and we were going down to Mexico, and we passed off the coast of Cuba, like in international waters, but you could see the coast. And I'm just like, hi, one day I'm coming to visit you. We're going to sit on the beach and do some badass fishing and all that stuff. Great scuba diving. That's a great point as well. Do you scuba dive, Alpha?
I do not.
You should come down to Florida and get certified and go scuba diving. So great. All right, guys, let's jump into rants here. Peyton Pooh, the only time we've been attacked on American soil is to start a war. LOL. Yep. That's why I was saying specifically during a war. Because let's see what happens if there's an attack on our homeland during a war. Let's see how that goes. Lee Walden, ahoy, Brian Alpha and crew. Best to you and yours. Please don't give up on the promise of America is still within our reach. Stay the course. Prayers to those in harm's way. Love you, mean it. Trump's still the Bose, B-O-S, boss. Yes, I agree with you. Good to see you, Lee Walden, Semper Paratus, and all that coasty stuff. Good to see you, brother. Kitsko, remember the play Caesar, and they knifed Trump all over the stage. Yeah, I do remember that one. Yeah, yeah. Kathy Griffin in the head. It's another one.
That was a nasty one.
That was a bad one. That was disgusting. And especially coming from Kathy Griffin, of all people. She is a despicable human being. So
could you imagine a conservative comedian with like the head of Obama or freaking Biden? Those dudes would have got put in handcuffs instantly for something like that.
Agreed. All right. So tonight we've got Sit Rep coming up, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in for that. We've got our GART exclusive, the first exclusive for Tennessee, 2 p.m. Eastern today, badlandsmedia.tv/events to get your event tickets. There's a sale going on right now, and check it out. And Alpha, thank you for being on time. I apologize for, just a slow news day, but I think we pulled it off. We usually have some pretty good conversations.
Persian baddies.
Stick around. I want to talk to you something after the show. But Heather Jones stuck last minute rant supporting my peeps and rewarding Alpha for having a functioning alarm clock. Yeah, 2-year-old terrorist didn't get it this time. No nosebleeds, none of that stuff.
Man,
all right, we'll see you guys tonight. What's that?
That was a rough day.
I can imagine, man. Yeah. Yes, on Y-Chrome's nosebleeds makes him late, and then the internet goes out. It's almost like he's trying to avoid me. You trying to avoid me, homie? Just Just say you
I
want.
I showed you the spectrum notice on that one.
I've got alligators. Yeah, you did send me the notice. I don't care, man. It's all good, bro. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. For those of you that are going to be on the exclusive live stream, we'll see you in about an hour, 2 hours and 15 minutes. God bless. See you guys later.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.